Hi friends, it's Nancy Jacobs from Embroidery It at embroideryit.com. I'm so glad to be here with you today, and we are going to make these adorable little maple leaf cards. You guys, these are perfect for fall, and they're stitched with Mylar, and it just gives this beautiful iridescent look to them that just adds a lovely touch to your handmade cards. So let me tell you the supplies that you need. We're going to stitch this in real time so you can stitch right along with me here. All right, the first thing you're going to need is some cardstock. And what I have done here is I have used an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. I cut it in half and then folded it in half. And the cardstock, well, I use this one here. It says it's 110 pound weight. This was from the office supply store. I've also been using, this is from the scrapbooking section. It doesn't have a weight listed on it, but they're different weights and both seem to be working well. It doesn't seem to matter too much the weight. The needles go straight through it. So speaking of needles now, you need a 75 by 11 needle, and this is your chance to use those old needles up, friends. So those needles that you've changed because you're starting a new project and it still has a little bit of life to it, as long as it's not bent or burred, that's the perfect needle for this kind of a project. For stitching on paper, you don't need to use that brand new needle. All right, you're going to need some stabilizer. Again, this is your chance to use that old junky stabilizer that maybe you don't like very well. I don't care if you're using cutaway, tear away, or wash away. It doesn't matter because, friends, at the end, we're going to cut this away regardless. So all we need is just a little something to adhere our paper to our embroidery hoop. So use that old stabilizer up that you've been hanging on to. You're going to need a little piece of Mylar here. This is cut 4 by 5 1/4. And friends, you can Google or go to your sewing store and find Mylar for machine embroidery, and that stuff is wonderful. It's perfect for stitching on shirts and towels, but that because it holds up to washing. But we don't need all that, you guys. We don't need the expensive stuff here for just stitching on paper. So I went and got this at the Dollar Tree. Actually, I purchased this some time ago, and so you may have a little bit of trouble finding it at the Dollar Tree. I didn't see it there the other day when I was looking, but I did see this at Hobby Lobby, the Mylar gift tissue, and they also have it here on the roll. You can see here this is what we're wanting, is the real iridescent stuff. And in fact, this is what we're going to be using to stitch on today. Here's what the packaging looks like. Like I said, I got this at Hobby Lobby. So it's clear iridescent wrap. So you'll find it in with the gift wrap, the tissue paper, and this is what you're looking for here. Okay. All right, along with everything else here, you'll want an envelope. This is an A2 envelope. It also is called a 5.5 inch envelope. It fits, our cards fit in here perfectly. It's the exact size that we need. You're going to want a little bit of painter's tape. You will also want some type of paper adhesive. Friends, I'm using double-sided tape, but if you've got other paper adhesive, that's fine. I actually like tape when working with paper. Glue, to me, sometimes can ripple the paper a little bit, so I kind of stay away from that. You're all going to want 2 colors of thread. We'll use the lighter color first to stitch our maple leaf, and then the darker color for the veins in the leaf. And the design is over at embroideryit.com. I think I told you that already, and so go and grab it there. It's free during the month of September. And let's get started here. So if we're going to take our hoop, we've got our stabilizer hooped up. I have the design loaded up in my machine, ready to go, and I also have the lighter color thread there in the machine. Oh, I want to tell you a little bit about the design too. The design comes in 2 sizes, okay? It comes in a 4x4 as well as a 5x7. But the maple leaf, I don't care which you choose to stitch with. For those of you who have a 4x4 hoop, the only thing that's different is the placement line. The maple leaf itself is the same size. I think it's a little easier if you have a 5x7 hoop. I find it to be a little bit easier to stitch on a 5x7 hoop. The only reason is because to get your card to fit in here, sometimes you have to kind of finagle the corners just a little bit. But what you want to do is you're going to stitch that placement line, and then you're going to line up your card. And once you have the card centered around your placement line, you'll tape it in place. Okay, so the placement line is the only thing that's different. The 4x4 is the regular size. The 5x7 hoop size is the large size. That's what you're going to want to watch for. So I'm using the large size here today. Like the first thing it's going to stitch is the placement line. I'm going to lower the camera so y'all can watch here. And I have my first color of thread loaded up into my embroidery machine, and it'll show us where exactly we need to place our card. Okay, now I'm going to take the hoop off the machine just to show you something here. This, you don't have to take the hoop off, but let me raise the camera and I can show you here. So here, can you see the placement line? And the thing is the card fits perfectly in the placement line. I mean, it just, boy, that's hard to see because it's such a light color. But it fits just perfectly there. So what we want to do is we want to take here, I'm going to lower the camera. We're going to take the front of the card and put it right here in, just put it right in that placement line. And if you were using the 4x4 size, you would just center it. And we'll use a little bit of painter's tape to hold it in place. And then we're going to take our piece of Mylar and just put it over the front of our card here. Kind of bend that card backwards a little bit so it stays flat against the embroidery hoop. And then we definitely need to tape this Mylar down. This is slick and it wants to get away from us a little bit. Alright, so here's what it looks like now. We have our card hooped in the placement line and taped in place, and then we've taped the Mylar on top of the card. We'll put it back on the machine. And the first thing it's going to stitch is the maple leaf itself. So it will stitch just the filled design within the maple leaf. That's going to take just a few minutes here. Let's raise up the camera. One more thing that you're going to want is just a piece of paper. I've used scrapbook paper here. You could use a picture from a magazine, and what you're going to want is, you see on the inside of the card, you're going to want to cover up the stabilizer and the back side of your stitching. So you can find, see, even a picture from a magazine is really pretty, and that's a nice thing to add. You can write a sentiment on, so here's your card. You open it up, you can write a sentiment on here. I have a rubber stamp with a stamp pad ready to go. So I'm going to stamp a little sentiment on the inside. So those are a couple of things. You guys can embellish the cards however you like. You can add a little ribbon to it, that'd be sweet, a little bow. You can rubber stamp on the outside of the card. That would look nice too. Something for fall or autumn, something for Thanksgiving or Halloween. That would all be really sweet with these cards here. Well, I'll lower the camera so you can continue to watch, but this is just, see how easily this stitches on paper and how easily it stitches through the Mylar. I mean, the reason, friends, you don't have to worry about your stabilizer, the cardstock, it's stiff. It's not going to pucker. It's not like fabric where we have to match the stabilizer to the fabric that we're stitching on. The card is so stiff, all we need is just something that we can use to adhere the card to the embroidery hoop. So that's why you can use any kind of old stabilizer that you don't care much about. Once this finishes stitching the maple leaf, we'll get our second color ready, and that will be for the veins of the leaf. Now, while this continues to stitch, I'm going to raise up the camera here. We're going to talk just a little bit, just you and I. You guys, if you haven't headed over to embroidery.com, do so. We go through, you guys get a free alphabet. We go through a letter every week. So you guys can grab it there each week. We do the sew-alongs here. There's blog posts there. Guys, I do this video, the same thing here that we're doing right now, I do this live over on Facebook. So you guys can ask questions. You guys can ask questions to me immediately, and I can see them, and I can answer your questions. So if you're new to machine embroidery, if you're new to stitching on paper, and you have any questions as we go about, ask me, because that's what I'm here for. I am so happy to help you. This is a great project. If you're new to machine embroidery, guys, give this a try. You'll be surprised at the things that you can do with your embroidery machine. It makes for a beautiful, you guys can do, 4 of these, add some envelopes to them, and you can either give these out to yourself, you can write on them for yourself, or, do a package of 4, tie them up in a pretty bow. You guys give these to your friends. These will make great stocking stuffers. They make great thank you notes. So this is just a neat little way to do a handmade gift using your embroidery machine. All right, this is just getting finished up here. It's only going to take a moment longer here. It's going around the edge of the maple leaf. And I guess I know I created this design to be stitched on paper, so it's a lighter weight design, but you absolutely could stitch this on a towel, on a shirt, on a hot pad, on a placemat, anything that you wanted. And if you did use that nice Mylar that I was telling you about, this would make a great project to be stitched on fabric as well. So give you some other ideas here. All right, we'll watch this finish stitching out. It's just going around the maple leaf. It's about done, and we'll get ready to change the thread color. There we go. Take that thread out and put our next color in. This is our darker color. And here we go. It's going to stitch those leaves, or excuse me, stitch the veins on the leaf, and this doesn't take long at all. This card only takes about 10 minutes of stitching time. It is really that quick. So, in under an hour, you can have a whole set of cards finished. If you haven't tried stitching using Mylar or on paper, this is a good chance for you to give it a try. Okay, guys, that's it. The stitching is done. That's it. There, the machine beeped. We're all finished here. You guys, take a look. Okay, we'll raise the camera and let you guys see me finish the last that we need to do with this card. So what I'm going to do now is take it out of the hoop. Okay, here is where we're at. Now, we'll take the tape off. And painter's tape is really good with the cardstock. It doesn't tear the cardstock, so it's a good way to attach the cardstock to the stabilizer here. Now, let's start with the stabilizer. We have to remove the stabilizer. Like I said, I don't care what kind of stabilizer you use, but we do need to cut it away. We don't want to tear our card. We've got a really pretty card here. We do not want it to accidentally tear here. All right. That's what the back looks like. Here's what the front looks like. Now, the Mylar, we're going to tear it away. I'm going to lower the camera because I want to use the table to give me a little bit more stability here as I tear this away, and I want you to see how I do this. You want to tear it towards your design. You want to pull inward. Just take your time. The Mylar tears really easily right along your stitching line. If you have a little bit that wants to kind of hang on, you can use some tweezers. You can use a straight pin to kind of pull it out a little bit if it tears before you want it to and it leaves a little piece hanging. You can still easily get that off. Okay. Look, here we go. Left just a little piece right there. So pull that off. All right, here's again the back side. So we want to cover up our stabilizer. I've got this piece of scrapbook paper and I cut it 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm just going to put some double-sided tape on the paper. Put it in each corner. And I'll put the paper over the stabilizer, over the back side of our stitching, so that the inside of our card looks pretty. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp a little, if I can get my stamp pad open here, just a little sentiment on here. Position that wherever you want. If you don't have a rubber stamp pad, just write something nice on here. There. So that's the inside of our card. It's the outside. And when you open it up, there it is on the inside. Alright, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had fun. I hope you're able to stitch this right along with me. So you can see I've got 3 now. I've got them in all different colors, and I'm going to do another one tomorrow on Facebook Live, and I'll have 4. I'll have enough for a really pretty set to give to someone, and somebody's going to get a nice Christmas gift here with these pretty cards. Like I said, they could use them for thank you. You could use them just as a sympathy card. You could use it as a just because, or as a friendship card, all kinds of things. It's always good to have some cards on hand. Thank you guys for joining me. I'm so glad to be here with you, and I will see you all very soon. Next month we'll make some more fun cards. Take care. Bye.